Guys, this is Dfs Chan on November 5th. I'm here to talk about tomorrow's EPL slate on November 6th, Saturday slate. I think it's going to be a 3-game slate. Obviously, that's much smaller than last week's slate. I believe it was like a 5 or 6 game slate, which was obviously more fun, and more players to choose from. But today or tomorrow, it's going to be a 3-game slate. So it's going to be a little boring, but I think the GPP prize pool is about the same. So that's exciting. And, it's going to be a little more chalky than probably last week's slate, just based on the, more narrow down player pool size. But nonetheless, it's going to be an exciting slate, in my opinion, because you really have one big favorite and then, other 2 close games based on Vegas odds. So let's dive in. So I want to just give an overview of these 3 games as to who the biggest favorite is, and then the second biggest favorite, and then, the last big favorite. Chelsea versus Burnley is probably the game that a lot of people are eyeing and targeting. I think a lot of people will try to jam in as many Chelsea players as they can, given that they are the biggest favorite at minus 400 to win outright. And then their opponent, Burnley, is the biggest underdog at plus 1100. I don't think I'm interested in any Burnley pieces, just given the fact that Chelsea will probably dominate possession. But if you think Burnley can pull off an upset and maybe score a goal, but I think they will still lack in possession. So I wouldn't play any of the high floor guys for Burnley, like McNeil or Westwood or anybody like that. But I would, if you were playing any GPP, I would, maybe throw a dart with maybe Chris Wood, like any of the strikers that will start for Burnley. That could maybe net a goal or 2. I mean, if you think that will happen, because I think that's probably the only type of points that will come from Burnley players, just like a fluke goal by a striker or anything like something like that. So, but yeah, on the other side of the matchup, Chelsea, I think it'll be interesting to see. And I'll tell you why I don't think Chelsea deserves this big of a favorite Vegas odds. And then I just do not think you'll get burnt by not playing a lot of the Chelsea guys, as most people will think. I'll talk about that later when I go into each of the matchups. The second biggest favorite is Brentford at minus 175 to win outright against Norwich City. Norwich City is plus 500, the second biggest underdog. I think this is going to be a closer matchup than the Vegas odds indicate. I think obviously Norwich City has been pretty terrible, but Brentford has not been in that good of form, as good a form as they were earlier in the season. So I think that'll be an interesting match. But I do think this game has more of goal upside and faster pace of game compared to the last matchup on the slate. That is Crystal Palace versus Wolves. Crystal Palace is the favorite in that matchup at plus 140 to win outright. And then Wolves is an underdog at plus 210. I do think this matchup is projected as like a lower goal implied a goal matchup. And I'll go into each of the matchups where I will talk about each game's implied goal total. So why not talk about Chelsea versus Burnley, since a lot of people will be interested in Chelsea pieces. And like I said, I mean, let's go into the odds first, because that's what I will do. Like I said, they're the biggest favorite at minus 400. The implied goal odds is at over 2.5. And I do not agree with that. I do think they will score probably 2 goals or 1 goal to win. But I'm not too scared about like Chelsea possibly scoring like 4 or 5 goals, like you see Liverpool or Man City play and scores and then ruins the slate. Like you have to, in those scenarios where like Liverpool and Man City scores like 4 or 5 goals, you have to have some of those players at least from those big favorite teams to be able to kind of hang with the crowd on the leaderboard on the GPP or even in cash lineups. I mean, you kind of have to have players that score goals or even or minimally have an assists some of those goals. But for Chelsea on this slate, I'm not too concerned about that. I don't think Chelsea can score 4 or 5 goals. I know Burnley gives up a lot of peripheral points, but I'm not too scared about Chelsea's attacking on this in this lineup at least, because as you guys can see here, I mean Werner and Lukaku and Mason Mount, they're like 3 of the best strikers in my opinion. They're all out due to injuries. So, just given those like heavy injuries uh, up top in their lineup, I'm not too scared about them possibly scoring 4 or 5 goals, So I think what you probably I think it's a better idea to go for the higher peripheral and higher floor points for Chelsea. I do think they'll dominate possession. Like I said, I don't think Burnley's gonna I think Chelsea's gonna dominate probably like 60+% domination, in possession. They'll have the ball quite a bit. So given that, I do like a lot of Chilwell and Reece James, Chilwell and James, and then Mark Alonso, obviously, if he starts in place of one of these fullback positions, and then if Azpilicueta starts, I mean, these 4 players and Mark Alonso basically are potential candidates for the fullback positions where, as you guys know, if you have been playing soccer DFS, but Chelsea fullbacks score a lot of floor points because they like to cross the ball and they're not afraid of shooting the ball and they create a lot of chances, and just naturally given their formation, they, do a lot for that team. So whoever starts on the left or right, but I think Chilwell is probably my core play if he does end up starting, which I believe 99% he will, because he also shares some set pieces with Hakim Ziak. So if Ziak starts, yeah, I mean, I like Ziak too. I think he is definitely going to be the main guy in place of like Mount, where he's going to have to create a lot of chances up top along with their fullbacks. So I like Ziyech with share of set pieces, and then his responsibility in creating chances. I like that a lot about him. I think he has a decent floor. And then if Pulisic, if he ends up starting, I mean, I think he's definitely a viable player to play. Maybe more for GPP plays, in my opinion. So I don't think he's going to have any share of set pieces, but he does tend to a lot on the attacking side. So he could cross the ball quite a bit. He could create some chances. He won't cross as many as like the fullbacks, but or Ziyech, I don't think, but he will create some chances and he could score a goal or two. So I like him for GPP purposes. And then for another GPP play would be Georginio. I know a lot of people played him last week, I think. But now that Mason Mount is out, like I said, due to injury, Georginio will be taking the penalty kicks. So if you think Burnley will give up a penalty kick, I mean, I don't know how you can quantify, a team that will be that will more likely concede a penalty. But if you think that will happen, Georginio would definitely be in play. But he doesn't have as high a floor points potential compared to all those other players that I just mentioned. So he's playing the central midfielder position where he will have to defend and go up and down a little bit in the central midfield position. So we'll see how many points he ends up getting. But if I had to project him, his projection would definitely be lower than Chilwell, James, or any of the fullbacks for Chelsea, and then definitely Ziyech or Pulisic. And then on the Burnley side, like I said, they're the biggest underdog. But if you think, on a counter attack, I mean, they will definitely lack possession, so they won't have as many floor points. But if you think they'll score a goal, I mean, Chris would definitely be, on the end of one, or Westwood or McNeil. But we'll see. I mean, if you want to play a Burnley piece, I will definitely target Chris Wood because you can save a lot of money by playing him in GPP. But if you think Chelsea will dominate and get a clean sheet, then I would not touch any of the Burnley players. The second biggest favorite on the slate is Brentford, like I said. Let's check out their implied goals total because Chelsea's was, I think, 2.5. Let me go back to Chelsea. 2.5. And then Brentford Norwich City game is at under 2.5. So maybe like around 2 goals. So it's a little lower than the Chelsea game. But I still do think it's going to be a faster pace compared to that last matchup between Crystal Palace and Wolves. So yeah, let's dive into Brentford players. I like Brentford a lot on this slate. I do think this is gonna be a up-tempo matchup, like I said. On Brentford, obviously, if Matthias Jensen, if he starts, let me see if he's in here. He is not in here. But if Jensen plays, then that obviously he's a good floor play in an optimal setting. He takes set pieces and he tends to cross quite a bit. So I like Jensen a lot, but if Jansen is out, I like that gives a bump to Sergi Canos. He's a defender. I think he is probably the best floor defender, right below the Chelsea fullbacks that I just mentioned, and maybe one other fullback that I will mention for the Wolves. But Sergi Canos is an interesting piece. I like him quite a bit. And then if Jansen is out, like I said, Canos gets a bump and Godos gets a bump. And then Norgard and Janelt, they all get a bump in my opinion. So, depending on the final lineup, starting lineup, like I said, if Jansen is out, I like all of these pieces, but amongst them, I like Canos the best. But if Godos starts, I like Godos to save salary if you want to. And then for strikers, if you think they'll score more than the implied goals total, which is at 2, or even if they score 2 goals, I mean, if and then Norwich does not score 0, then that means Brentford will score 2 at least. I like Ivan Toney to net 1 at least, and Buemo tends to have a little bit of higher floor than Toney, but Toney has a better scoring odd, I think. So I like Toney quite a bit if you think they'll score. But yeah, I like Brentford's like attacking mindset. So obviously their fullbacks, Canos is good, and then Henry, I'm not quite sure, but I think he makes up for a good GPP play. So I think he'll be interesting. And any of these guys, like I said, in the middle, Janelt, Norgard, or Godos, I like Godos quite a bit, just to save salary, but I like them. That's for like a potential goal upside there. On the Norwich side, I mean, it's Rashika. Rashika has the probably one of the safest floor on the slate actually. I do think, like I said, Brentford, Norwich, I don't think it's gonna be where Brentford dominates possession. I think Norwich will have the ball as well. I like Rashika to create a lot of chances for that team for Norwich. He will dominate set pieces. And he will have to create scoring chances if they were to win. So I like Rashika quite a bit. In a cash setting, yeah, I like Rashika quite a bit as well. He could become one of my core plays depending on what I will talk about in the next matchup. But for GPP, obviously I like Pookie a lot, and then for GPP I like Max Aarons, and then yeah, Matthias Norman, he sometimes shoots quite a bit, so I think that will probably be the only pieces that I will be interested in playing. But Rashika is the Norwich piece that I will be interested in mostly. Third matchup and the last matchup on the slate is Crystal Palace versus Wolves. I like Crystal Palace to win here, but Crystal Palace has some lineup like changes that I will be interested in to see tomorrow morning. For those of you who have not played soccer DFS, I mean, the starting lineups come out 1 hour before kickoff. So I believe this is going to be at 11 o'clock Eastern time. So 10 o'clock Eastern time, that's when the starting lineups will come out, and I will post my thoughts in the Discord channel based on who's starting and who's not starting. So for example, if Milivojevic, Luka, if Luka does not start, that gives a bump to Conor Gallagher. Conor Gallagher is kind of expensive. I think he's at 9,100 on DraftKings, which I will go through the player pool. So obviously, if Luka does not start, then that gets a bump to Gallagher. So I'll be interested in playing Gallagher. But if Luka starts, then Gallagher gets a huge downgrade because they'll be sharing set pieces. And, like I said, I'm not really fond of like what is projected to be a slower pace game in this matchup. Even though both of their defenses have not been playing the best. So it could blow up, but technically just based on the stats, I think it's gonna be a slower matchup. So let's check out what the implied total goal odds is. So as you can see, it's gonna be at under 2.5 as well. So I think it's the same as the Brentford Norwich, but just based on the recent form and recent match history, I do think this is gonna be a lower scoring game. On Crystal Palace, just to finish my thoughts on the players for GPP, yeah, I mean Zaha can obviously blow up and score 1 or 2 goals, and he can create like 5 to 6 scoring chances. He's a very good player in open play. But him and Gallagher would probably be the top GPP plays. Luka, yeah, I mean you can play him maybe in like a cash setting if you want to save some money. But I don't know, like I don't think he has that much of an upside in my opinion. So Zaha and then Edouard, if you think they're gonna score 2 goals or 1 goal, I do think Edouard does not have as high floor as Zaha or Gallagher, but he could definitely score a goal. So if you are stacking Crystal Palace pieces, then I think he's definitely should be one of them. I'm not too interested in their fullbacks. On the other side of the matchup is Wolves. Trincao is an interesting piece, but my core play, if he ends up starting, is Rayon Ignori. He has been sharing some set pieces. I think he is a very willing crosser in the fullback position, just like the Chelsea fullbacks. So I like him a lot for tomorrow in a cash setting. I do think he has upside too. So I think he would make a great GPP play as well. So that's why he makes for a good core play in my opinion. Even though he shares some set pieces with Joao Moutinho, Moutinho does not have the same type of like upside as Ignori in my opinion. Moutinho is kind of like a slow player who controls the midfield, center of the field, and then Ignori goes up and down, and cross the ball and quite scoring, more more scoring chances than Joao Moutinho. If you think the Wolves will score 1 or 2 goals, I would definitely target Raul Jimenez. He's obviously the pillar of that team who is gonna be in a lot of positions to score goals. And then Hee-chan Hwang, I joke about him but he makes a very good GPP play. I joke about him because I think his nickname is a bull, and he plays like a bull, as you will see if you watch him tomorrow. But he definitely only goes forward, and we love that for DFS purposes. He's definitely offensive minded. So I think he's gonna hook up with Raul Jimenez to be able to score a goal. Yeah, I mean I like these 3 players. Even like I said, Trincao and Jimenez and Huang. I think that's a very good top 3 on the offensive side for Wolves. So I think that this will definitely be an interesting matchup to target if you think they'll score more goals than expected. So yeah, Trincao, Jimenez, and Hee-chan Hwang, definitely all good like GPP play considerations. For cash or core play rather, I like Rayon Ignori. And Semedo would make a good GPP play as well. Neves tends to get like 2 or 3 shots a game, so he could definitely score 1. But I'm not interested in any of these 3 defenders at all. So let's dive into the player pool. For the forward position, as you can see, I mean 2 of the top Chelsea strikers are out. And then let me see, Brentford. I mean, Ivan Toney has a very good scoring odd. So that's why he's, highly priced here, and Brentford is the favorite. But, I wouldn't be interested in playing him for cash purposes. Like I said, the first cash play that I think I would like to make is if Chilwell starts, I like him a lot. And then where's Ignori? I like Ignori quite a bit. So defenders, I think on this slate have the highest floor, in my opinion. I love Ignori's pricing as well, compared to Chelsea's fullbacks. As you can see, Reece James is the most expensive player. So on the defensive side. And I like Sergio Canos. So I can just go through the defenders since I'm at it. Like I said, Canos, I like him for GPP/cash if you want him instead of Ignori. I think they're about the same price. Yeah. So, but I like Ignori a lot because he has some share of set pieces and he's willing to cross the ball a little more. And then Semedo GPP, Max Aaron's GPP, Tyreek Mitchell GPP, but he's not as willing to go up and down and cross the ball as he used to be. And then let's see, there's one more piece. Like I said, Rico Henry on the other side of that field. If he's, if you are willing to take a gamble on him and he's gonna cross the ball quite a bit, probably. So I like him maybe 2 or 3 crosses a game, but he's at 400, and I'd rather go up for 1,000 and then pay for Ignori. Let me see on the midfield side. Like I said, Mason Mount will most likely be out. Let me check. He's dealing with an infection, expected to be in the squad. So yeah, he could be an option off the bench. So I don't think he will start either. So we'll see what happens there. But Gallagher, like I said, if Luca does not start, then Gallagher gets an upgrade, but he's at 9,100. So, that's a hefty price to pay up for. So we'll see if I'm willing to do that based on the, formation. But, like I said, I like Rashika a lot. He definitely has high floor for cash game purposes, and I love Ziak. I think Ziak should be higher priced in my opinion here. But I think Ziak is gonna have to do a lot if if Chelsea were to win tomorrow without any of these superstar strikers. So Ziyech definitely goes in my core play cash lineup in my opinion, just based on the pricing too. I like that price. Forwards, yeah, Hudson-Odoi, if he starts, he has a high floor as well compared to other strikers. So we'll see if he ends up starting, but Havertz is probably gonna end up starting as at the striker position, but he doesn't really have that much high floor. I think his ownership is gonna be high, but it looks likely that I'll fade him. So hopefully he doesn't score 2-3 goals or anything, something like that, because I don't think he's not the type of guy where he's gonna create like 5-6 scoring chances or 6 goals. I mean, if he were to break a slate, he would have to score 2-3 goals. And I don't think he will do that without good supporting cast, in my opinion. Like, he's not a threat in the air. He's not the tall burner or Lukaku. He will have to create chances with his feet, and with the supporting cast around him, I don't think he will be able to do that. So because of the lack of floor points for Havertz and the lack of goal upside that I'm talking about, I might fade him here. So. But yeah, in terms of floor, I mean, forward is probably the position where I think will lack the floor points the most on this slate, which is very interesting in my opinion, because I feel like you can play any of these players. It's Rashica, forward, out, yeah. So we could go like forward position, Rashica, and then pay down at forward, the second forward position, maybe. Let me see. Yeah, like I said, if Matthias Jansen does not start, I like Matthias. Oh, Jensen. Okay. He's midfielder. He's 5,900. So he's definitely a willing crosser and scoring creator, chance creator. So if he ends up starting, then we can definitely play him. As you can see, I mean, he has a lot of crosses. He had 2 and 3 scoring chances created, shots assisted. and one. Yeah, I mean, so 5,900, that's really good in my opinion. So hopefully he starts. If not, then we may just have to pivot to another Brentford piece or cheaper Brentford piece, or cheaper midfield pieces. But like Joel Matinho takes some set pieces, but he lacks upside. Let me see. There was one more that I was looking at. Let's see. Like I said, any one of the cheaper Brentford pieces, like Jan out, and then yeah, like Trincao. I think he will be an interesting piece as well if he ends up starting in place of Jansen if he does not start. So I think that will be an interesting pick to make in the midfield position. I don't think you have to pay up, in my opinion. I think Georginio, where is he? He's gonna be too expensive to pay up for 6,400. I mean, he has no floor. But if he ends up taking a penalty kick and scores, yeah, I mean that'll definitely pay off his price. So I think that'll be an interesting pick. But instead, I like Trincao better. I think he has a higher floor. In a close matchup, even matchup against Crystal Palace. So, but if you want to pay up for Gallagher, I completely get it. He probably has the highest floor amongst the midfielders rather. Um, so I like Gallagher if you are able to save salaries in other positions. But I like playing two high defenders in my opinion who will cross the ball quite a bit. But yeah, so that's the midfield position. And Zaha for GPP, and then Embuemo for GPP for Brentford at the top, and then there was one more piece here, and Ruben Neves, and I think for GPP as well because he takes some shots. Forward position, like I said, Rashika, I like him with high floor, but yeah, like any of these players, you're really playing any of these players for their goal upside. Hopefully, whoever you ends up choosing ends up scoring a goal. Obviously, like I said, Zaha and Buemo, we just talked about, they're both midfielder eligible as well. Eduard, and then Jordan AU for GPP, Godos. So I mean, you can really go down like pretty far down, depending on how willing you are in choosing a player of this low price. But if I had to like choose one, I mean maybe Godos and then Eduard and Buemo. This is a very hard forward slate in my opinion for cash games. Because I think other than Rashishka, like you don't really have anybody. I mean, you can have Tony, but he's 8,800 and he has the highest scoring odds, but let me see what that gives us. Goalkeeper, I usually pay down and see what happens first. So yeah, I mean, you're left with 3,800 when you play Ivan Tony. So I don't know if I can do that. So let me try to see if I can go down. I mean, if Pulisic ends up starting, then yeah, I mean 4,000, we can maybe work with that. Maybe not. Maybe Luca, but like I said, he lacks upside, so I don't know. This is a very interesting slate, I think. It really ties your hands as to what all you can do with the roster construction for floor points. There's not really like 2-3 players usually in the forward slot that you can count on have like at least 5 points floor or 10 points rather. And Traore is going through some turmoil at Wolves, so he may not start. But if he ends up starting, I mean, he'll probably be a good play, but likely not. He's not gonna play. Havertz, like I said, will be very popular, but I don't know if I can play him, just because I think Chelsea is not gonna score 4 or 5 goals. Let me see what I can do with Hudson-Odoi. if he ends up starting. Yeah, 4,700. That's pretty good. I could even go down more. If Zaha ends up. I mean, he does probably a lot more for that team compared to other forwards that are under him. Maybe McNeil, but he's in an unfavorable matchup against Chelsea. So let me see what happens with Zaha. 5,100. So that's pretty good. I could definitely see myself play Zaha. And then with 5,100, you can do a lot. I mean, you have Godos, you have Norgard. Like I said, any of these Brentford players, if Jensen does not end up playing, and then you can go down to like Trincao, you know, and instead of Jensen. Let me see if I can do that. Yeah, I mean 5,400. Oh, Sergi Conyers is 55. Yeah, Ruben Neves 54. Godos, Semedo, Moutinho, Janelt. Rico Henry. Luca. Yeah, so maybe under Zaha you can go Mumbuemo. If you think Brentford will win. I could see myself going maybe AU as well. Mbuemo. See what does Mbuemo does. 5,700. Then I can go AU or Caños. I mean, Caños, and then let me see if I can pay up a little bit. Norwich, 3,900. Okay. So anyway, so obviously at the end, you want to see what your roster looks like, and then you don't want to play the goalkeeper you have a lot of set pieces for. Like if you have like 4 or 5 Chelsea pieces, somehow you don't want to have the Burnley goalie. And if you think that those 4 or 5 Chelsea pieces will score a lot of goals. But yeah, so I usually don't play, the opposing goalkeeper based on the roster constructions. But yeah, so that's all I got for you guys today. If you guys have any questions, let me know. I'll be on Discord. You can reach me on Twitter as well at DFS underscore Chan. But yeah, like I said, at 10 a.m. Eastern time tomorrow, the starting lineups will come out, and I'll post my thoughts, final thoughts, before you guys can finalize the lineups. But yeah, good luck tomorrow. If you like this video, please leave a like, click on the like button or click on the subscribe button. It will help us a lot. But yeah, if you guys have any questions again, let me know. And yeah, good luck everybody tomorrow. Thank you. Bye.